خزيانة مغبة شلام مالوخن أنا يون ديفيد البازي بيتاين أموخن بخور زخاتا من ديتة فينيكس أريزونا قدات بقتا أمتنيتا تبقتن إلى أم يقارتا نهرين إنوية أين إلى خاء آتوريتا تيلا بالخانة بطلابة زدقة وبطلابها قياتا قو أطرا وويتيلا خاء رابا ريشيتا رابا جاي خشتيلا نيويورك خشتيلا واشنطن وأوتا وأخنيطين منتخ من هدخا خمتا أطوريتا تيلا بلاخا أخ كلن بشنت.
Thank you, David. Very, very honored to be here with you again this year. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nahren AZ, she is a Syrian activist. She's been traveling to a lot of places to ask for our rights. She is, I mean, one of the best lady I seen working for her nation. She's been on a lot of TV stations like ABN. She's been in Fox News with Sean Hannity, and she is very, very helping her nation. Tell me, how you see this convention?
The convention is always, a great way to unite a nation that is so dispersed through the whole world. Just so this convention is a great strategy to keep our culture, our language, our history, and there are so many great events that really empower the awareness of these different aspects of our nation. And so it's a fun time too, but lately I believe the convention has been used a lot of times for political reasons too, just because we are in a dire need for awareness and for our political demands to be met. But it's definitely wonderful to be here today and for the last few days. And I always enjoy seeing our fellow Assyrian people, and it's also great too that there are so many people, so many Assyrians from the Chaldean churches here, from the Syriac churches. So truly this annual event really brings our people from all over the world. There are people here from Australia, there are people here from Sweden, there are people here from London and France. That's and right. Many different states in the United States, and even people min أطراف الإتياخ. It's honored to have them. I wish one day we can take the convention back to Umtan, to our Atra, original ancestral lands, and we will have conventions multiple times a year. What you like and what you don't like about the convention? What did you see different from other conventions? For example, there's a particular convention I attend annually, and it's very political. And for this convention, there's a lot of great things in it. One thing I would like to change is the location and make it more of a consistent location. One prime location we really need to be at, and that is bring it to Washington, D.C. Bring our people there. Let's say the convention is 5 days long, 4 days long. Just 2 days out of those 5 days dedicated to hardcore lobbying. Not everyone needs to do it. There are resorts in, Virginia and Washington that we can have it at. And then, motivate our people. Like this, it is really fun. When you get really into it, it gets really exciting. Bring them all to Congress. Can you imagine a couple thousand very aggressive and passionate Assyrians taking them straight to the Capitol and voicing our demands to them, using our population that's coming from different parts, of the country and in the world, taking them there and lobby. Use that time, lobby, maybe make it twice a year, a twice a year convention every 6 months, and go to Washington. That's one main thing I would change about the convention. But other than that, there's a lot of different events. They're having a lot of panels, which are very informative, and a lot of very interesting lectures we have been listening to. And but I think other than that, everything is pretty good.
The only problem with going to Washington, I'm talking about the Federation. Federation, it's organization of more than 30 organizations all over the United States. So there's a 3 region, Midwest, East Coast, and Western region. So those affiliate, those the one they'll have, or they work on the convention. Otherwise, now in Washington, we don't have any organization. That's a problem. Now, we don't have to have convention in Washington, but we can have rallies or whatever you want to call it. That way, they don't have to be affiliated with the Federation, because the Federation, it's once a year. It's always on Labor Weekend. So they do it either in Chicago, Connecticut, or Detroit, or San Jose, or San Diego, or Vegas, or Phoenix. So anywhere there is affiliate, they can have convention over there. But this is the day. They've been doing it for 83 years.
Right.
That's
which is incredible.
Yeah.
To be having you know, a collective convention of many different organizations once a year. But just because of the dire need of our people, I was thinking to utilize this moment where people, I've met so many passionate people just in the last few days, many new faces. And when I meet our fellow Assyrians, I always think of, how can we use them in the cause? Or, you know, if they're not already like active, if they have that passion in them, they are a born activist. They could utilize their ammunition, their power to lobby. So maybe having like another section of the convention, or not even labeling as a convention,
they have to be,
but another summit.
I agree with you, but have to be like organized by a political organization.
Right.
That's, I mean, it'll be nice because that's why, as you said, we'll have people listening to us, the one they don't know us, and all that stuff. But I agree with you. I hope the politician they listening and seen us.
Yes, because we are in extreme need of lobbying in DC. Many critical decisions are being made as we're speaking. There are many things on the table. Our very existence, too, is in the hands of the United States, which is the superpower that's making many decisions in the Middle East and affecting many different things in the Middle East. So if they have a constant group of a united hand that is voicing our demands and putting pressure on them continuously, we have more chances of achieving our goals and actually putting it on blast that we are aware of what you're doing. We are aware of the decisions that are being made right now, and these are our demands. And we are standing together in this effort, because one of the biggest things that happened when, you know, Daesh invaded into Iraq was Suraya Diyan, I think out of a panic, many different groups started going to DC with different demands because they didn't really collaborate together initially. So there were Kamket Suraya or Mara Beikhbaltakhle Kulla Suraya Diyan min Iraq. We want to get everyone out. There were some that were, like myself, that were advocating for internationally protected region. And, you know, so there were many different things. And then there were other people that weren't even Assyrians.
We should be united on those matters.
Oh, absolutely. That is the only way to push the superpower country of the world to listen to us, because if they have too many voices with too many different demands and they know that they're the same people, regardless of what they're identifying themselves as, they look at them as a disaster waiting to happen.
I agree with you. Now, you have a trip to Washington, D.C.
Yes.
What is it all about?
This is the annual In Defense of Christians Summit. It's a convention that takes place once a year. It was an organization that started over 2 years ago. The founder, he's a Maronite Christian from Lebanon. And basically the main idea, Tawfiq, Mr. Tawfiq, and he is very passionate about preserving Christianity in the Middle East. And he also advocates heavily for, you know, Assyrians of all sectors, all the churches. What I love about their organization is I've never seen so many different patriarchs. You know, they try to get as many different patriarchs, whether they're from the West or the East, and they bring them on one round table. So it is that idea that many of us have discussed. We need to put them in one room and shut the door. So they're kind of already doing that. They have a lot of work to do on that too. And it's just, you know, they're literally, as their name of their organization, they are in defense of Christians. And whether you're an Assyrian Christian, whether you are a you know, Arab Christian, whether you're an Armenian or a Maronite, as we know, you know, even Maronites were persecuted, but they are a very collective, organized effort, a political movement in Washington, D.C., who have a lot of resources there. And, you know, they try to, same as the Assyrian Convention's ideology, to bring everyone together. They try to work that strategy too, to lobby. So they get all these young professionals and young activists, and they hit, you know, we hit Congress and we lobby for different demands. Like last year, it was the genocide acknowledgement. You know, we truly, as Assyrians, as we know, those are the majority of the people that are facing extinction in the Middle East. Those are the people that were being executed on TV, on a video, even though, you know, they're also including our Chaldean churches and Syriac churches. But that is really our identity, is Assyrian, as the Armenian genocide, and the Armenians are gaining recognition for the Armenian genocide. But that is the reason why they gave the Christian genocide, because of the different divisions of our churches. It put pressure on them to legally put it that way, just to, you know, get everyone to unite at least under that. And so that was a big thing last year, where, you know, John Kerry, Secretary of State John Kerry, acknowledged the genocide. We wish that it was acknowledged as an Assyrian genocide, because that is the longest lasting genocide in history. Truly longer than the Holocaust, longer than the Armenian genocide. You know, it is a genocide that has never ended, that has brought our people to less than 300,000 in the country where civilization started, where they emerged, the strongest empire. You know, so this is a genocide that really needs to be blasted to the world.
The reason he didn't mention that, because we don't have leadership.
Right. That is true.
I mean,
a united leadership we do
exactly.
not have.
We don't have that. So, I mean, they can say it as a Christian or whatever, but we are a nation, you know, Assyrian. They are over there for over 6,080 years old. I mean, everything is proven.
Right.
If you see our monuments and all that stuff, you'll see, I mean, we are not 2,000 years. Like, I mean, I'm proud to be Christian, but we are as a Syrian nation. We've been there. Those are our land over there. And now nobody recognizes as Assyrian.
Right.
That's
it's almost like an omen. Why can't they say Assyrian genocide?
Exactly.
They know darn
Again,
right that's what it is.
We don't have leadership. I mean, that's a problem. Just like, I mean, I don't want to go further in this subject, because they might think but I am Christian. But first I'm Assyrian.
Exactly.
Then I'm Christian.
Right. And, you know, some of the things that's also confusing to the people is, if you're going to list all the people that were being persecuted in the genocide, and then they have Yazidis, Christians, Shabaks, Kakas, Armenians. Wait a minute. Aren't Armenians Christians?
Yeah,
so why
yes,
are the Assyrians and, you know, and all of our different church sectors being labeled as just Christians, and then Armenians are Armenians? So truly, that is a big problem.
Armenian,
that eventually
they have leadership.
Right.
That's again, we go to that subject.
Right.
We don't have leadership.
Right.
And that's the problem with us.
Right.
I hope one day, we'll have leadership. They can go to Washington as Assyrian,
Exactly.
not as just Christian. I mean,
yes.
So,
and that is one thing that we attended a lecture today about the Assyrian governance, or in other words, Assyrian parliament, where hopefully there will be different representations from different regions and a united voice to aggressively and politically demand our needs. And it really needs to be implemented very, very soon. And it is something that's in the works, and it's, you know, being discussed, and they're trying to gain as much support for it as possible. But this is so needed, David. Like, we are, I was listening to a political figure from the Middle East yesterday, and she almost brought tears to my eyes. And I really have been feeling the pain that we are dying by the day. But I saw the pain in her face, and she looked at all of us on the table and said, and she became frustrated in a way. She said, "You're all discussing plans." And she said, "But when are you planning on doing this? Because we're losing people every day. Every day. Just when Daesh invaded, and then, you know, our population decreased, we went down to 500,000. And then 6 months later, the population dropping to 400,000. Now they're saying they're less than 300,000. In fact, I heard a number of 250,000. This should outrage the whole world, because not only are we Assyrians, we're Christians. This should outrage not only just Christians globally, but anybody who believes in humanity. This is where the Fertile Crescent is. And, you know, it really does outrage me as well to know that where is humanity today? They need to stand behind these people who literally discovered civilization. These are the people that discovered the first library, the battery, the telescope, engineering, our very law, you know, the Code of Hammurabi. I mean, you know, the Assyrian Babylonian empires were the greatest, most intelligent empires, the first civilization to exist, and you don't want to save them?
That's what's happening now. It's unfortunately, it's I don't know what the politicians want from us.
Well, I have an idea, David, and, you know, recently, as in maybe in the last 25, 30 years, you know, they've discovered an incredible amount of oil in Iraq. They've always known how much oil is in Iraq,
Absolutely.
but the oil reserves in Iraq are enough to cover many countries. And also another resource that many people are not paying much attention to is the uranium, and
That's
how
right there.
much gold, just from a few tombs of Assyrians, they dug up millions and millions of dollars worth of gold cubes from our kings and queens tombs that have never been touched, and they recently excavated them and took all the gold, and they stole the gold and placed it in oil tankers and exported them out to where we don't know, you know, and really it's
Disaster.
It is a disaster. And just like, you know, what happened with empowering the wrong people in Afghanistan, like Al-Qaeda, who turned around and stabbed the United States in the back, they are empowering wrong people again. You know, it's like, for once, if you want to really keep your mother country of the world identity, that reputation, for humanity's sake, empower the right people who are the most persecuted people, the people that cannot be infiltrated. Like, for example, the NPU, the Nineveh Plains Protection Units, it's an independent force under, you know, the Iraqi government, a legitimate, nationally recognized unit that really needs to be empowered to a point to focus on them, because these are the people of Nineveh, of Mosul. These are the people that were affected. So why empower other groups that have nothing to do with this genocide? Strengthen them. Give them some hope. You know, some people say, why should we help them? Or we don't have any resources to give them. Well, if they actually gave us our rights as the native people of Iraq, as the indigenous people of Iraq, We are the wealthiest people in Iraq because those are our lands. The other people came and settled there as occupiers. Isn't that right, David?
They are, absolutely, they are occupied. Everybody knows that. And unfortunately, like I said, if we had leadership, I mean, probably they could help. But another thing, we need lobbyists.
Absolutely.
Most of the people in Washington, or the politician in Washington, I'll say it, they don't know who's Assyrian. What's Assyria?
Right.
I'm serious.
It's very true.
I mean, I was watching Fox News, Waterland. What is the name of the guy? I mean, he's very, very funny. He was asking a doctor, PhD, and he showed picture of senator from Florida, the one who was running for Senate, Marco Rubio. And he said, "Who is this guy?" Guess what she said? He's senator from New York. And he said, "He's not Schumer." You know, I mean, then he said, I mean, when I was a kid, and I used to know every president in the world.
Right.
I mean, we used to study those things.
Right.
Unfortunately, over here, I mean, I saw it's just unbelievable. Who's Secretary of State? We don't know. Who's Vice President? They don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know Joe Biden is our Vice President.
Exactly, yeah.
Or John Kerry is our Secretary of State.
Exactly. So, it's, you know, it's, I don't know how they study, which that's not healthy, because every American, he should know who's the president, who's vice president, who is the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. But I don't know, probably they are not interested on those things.
Right.
And most of the people, they don't vote also.
Right.
You know,
our people need to be registered to vote. You know, Nashidin Guatra, they're depending on us. The people in the diaspora in every country, if you're a citizen of that country,
you should vote.
You have to vote. You need to vote. It is your obligation to your nation that you're living in and the nation back home.
That's why, I mean, politicians, they'll come to you.
That's right.
And then when they are elected, you'll ask them what you need. Exactly. You can lobby. But unfortunately, a lot of people that are not registered, they don't care. Well, America. No, that's wrong. You have to vote.
Right.
I mean, it's but.
And vote for the right person. And we really need to be blunt about that too, David, because we have been politically correct for so long because we are respectful indigenous people of Iraq, and we brought civilization and democracy to the area. So we always try to do it in the most civilized, democratic, politically correct, diplomatic way possible. But it is to a point that we cannot even give you an option. But what I have seen from my experience and my observation of which presidential candidate will really help our cause and who will literally destroy us just based on experience, what she's already done. I mean, we have to tell our people, if you want to save our people, and not just our people, but the general public in the United States, is, you know, we want to give you an idea of who will help our persecuted people in the Middle East and who will seal our borders.
They should know.
But many don't, David.
I understand that. But they should know because, let's say, Hillary, her husband was president for 2 terms, right? Now, what did he do for Assyrian or Christian? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
So what's she going to do for us? Again, nothing.
Right.
So at least we'll try Donald Trump.
Right.
And if he is not helping us, then we'll try somebody else. But we have to be very, very careful what we're doing. This is not Democrat, Republican thing.
No. And really, he's in the middle, because I really don't see him as...
He's not a politician. We know that.
Right. I don't see him as a Republican or a Democrat. He definitely has conservative views, but he's also had liberal views in the past and even presently. So he really is dead on in the middle. He's a median between the two, and I believe he is one of the most recent presidential candidates that has united America the most in recent history. You know, he doesn't have the most pleasant character, as in the most warm and inviting, but there's always a need for a certain type of character and president, depending on what we are suffering today. So, you know, when everything is calm and, you know, good and gravy, then you need a more calm president, you know, but at this moment, because the situation in Iraq and the situation with ISIS is so detrimental to the very existence of so many different minority groups and the endangerment of the American people, and not just the American people, the ideology that's affecting all of Europe, what's happening to Europe, all those terrorist attacks. We need to take this crisis more seriously. And he has voiced, Donald Trump has voiced so many different points that really should wake up the American people. You know, he has said things like, there's so much corruption in the White House. You know, there's so much corruption in Congress. He didn't even say just with the Democrats. He said all of Congress, there's so much corruption. We really need to make America, like his slogan, make America great again. Make America why my family and your family decided to migrate to. Right.
Corruption in every department.
Yes.
Corruption on the defense department. So the country is going to hell.
Mm-hmm. It truly is.
So let's change it. We have to change it.
And tables can turn very quickly. What happened to us? Assyria, the greatest empire in the world, fell, and fell hard to a point that it has not rose in over 2,000 years.
By the way, we have, they bring in 10,000 refugees from Syria. Mm-hmm. They don't know who they are.
Right.
Now we have Assyrian all over the places. They've been there for over 10 years, and they don't allow them to get to this country.
Right.
Assyrian they are very, very peaceful people.
Right.
They are good people. They are educated.
Absolutely.
I mean, they can help this country,
mm-hmm.
not be against it like what happened in France,
mm-hmm.
in Belgium, in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
The Muslim fanatic, they took over those countries.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it.
Exactly.
So we don't want the United States to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, when you go into Washington?
I'm going in just a few days, for about 3 days.
So you're going to promise me you'll come back to our show, tell us what happened?
Absolutely. I definitely look forward to that. And I really think that IDC is a wonderful organization who really is working hard to defend not only our people, but also our other Christian brothers and sisters. And they, you know, their team that I work closely with, they are so passionate that many of them, when they're working throughout their day, they forget to eat. So, you know, some of them, I looked at them and I'm like, you look like you're going to faint. Like, why don't you go grab a bite? And she's like, no, I can do that later. And, you know, they're always working. And, you know, they have very good ties in DC to try to, you know, move and shake things in the best way they can. But also because the majority of them, even though, you know, there's Lebanese in there, there's even some Assyrians in there and different Catholics, and but they also need to be informed and about the different updates too. So that's why lobbying with an organization like IDC and other ones who believe in our people and working as one moving force. So for example, first priority was genocide acknowledgement. That one's done. Okay, now we need an internationally protected region. Okay, not under the KRG. That is, why should we have to be under a group that's under another group? We need to be, if Iraq is a united Iraq, the Nineveh Plains needs to be under a united Iraq, an internationally protected region. We don't want to be an internationally protected region under another protected region. So because we are the indigenous people, why are we secondhand?
Which they didn't protect us anyway.
Exactly. They did, you know, unfortunately, the corruption in their government disarmed us 2 weeks before ISIS invaded, and that is something everyone
right.
needs to know.
That's right.
You know, I'm not trying to completely rip on the KRG, but it is something that they need to know. This is not democracy. If you want to be our ally, if you want to work together with the Christians of Iraq and Syria, you need to never make those mistakes again. You
Exactly.
cost us hundreds of thousands of deaths and the purge that occurred. You know, it is not something to say we are sorry that happened. Your sorry is unacceptable because we are almost to a close extinction, that we were already endangered. Our population was already endangered. Our safety was placed in their hands, and we were not protected from this terrorist militia that came in freely in Iraq, through Syria, and also the sleeper cell that was found in Erbil that too many people never want to talk about. But
no,
you know,
I understand that.
Mhm.
It's if you don't want to protect us, let us protect ourselves.
Exactly. Let us work together like
Exactly.
civilized humans. It's
Yeah.
2016, people. It is time for a real democracy. That country has been affected for far too long. At the end of the day, doesn't every family want to live in peace? You know, whether it's the Kurds, don't the Kurds want to live in peace? Let the Assyrians live in peace. Let the Yazidis live in peace. Let the Shabaks and the Kakas and all the minorities and the Shias, even the Sunnis, why can't we all live in peace? And if they really understand who we are, you know, this isn't about arrogance. This isn't about inflated pride. This is about, these are the people, the Assyrian Babylonian people. These are the people that are your roots. How we love our Native Americans in the United States. These are the people who made your country, who cradled the grounds that you are walking on. Protect them, love them. You know, they are the most civilized people going back to thousands of years ago. If they show us they love us, protect us, we would not even ask for an internationally protected region, you know, because we will feel safe with them. But put religion to the side. Put religion to the side. Why don't they do DNA tests, David? If those people, whether they're Shia, Sunni, you know, even the Yazidis, they are people that have been there for thousands of years too.
They admit they are Assyrian, most
Right.
of them.
Yeah, and they need to do DNA tests, and guess what they're going to find? They will find Assyrian blood in them.
That's
and
true.
I actually asked a Shia, Arab, Iraqi, I was talking to him and I asked him, and just to give me
Even
more
Sunni.
power.
Even Sunni.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I asked him, do you believe, like, who are your ancestors? And he said, you mean in Iraq? I said, yeah, of course. Who are your ancestors? He said, the Shia Arab said, well, you know, like, the old Iraq was Assyrian Babylon. And I said, so you obviously, before Islam, you were something else.
Yeah.
Not Arab. So do you believe that Assyrians are your ancestors? He said, absolutely. He
That's
said,
true.
absolutely. I am proud to have them as my ancestors. I said, well, the problem is the religious fanaticism that needs to be put to the side. You can be whatever religion you are,
Exactly.
but wouldn't it be great for people to even identify themselves by their ethnicity instead of their nationality? Because it really is not a united Iraq, but at least if they united under their original identity. So, you know, I'm not saying that it is acceptable or in any means to have, like, you know, Islam in our ethnicity. But really, why were we given a name Iraq when Iraq is Assyria? So how would the United States like it if they were recolonized and given a whole new name? You know, it doesn't make sense. Why was Syria given Syria when they could have been Assyria? Why did they drop the A and the S out? People need to know their history.
British.
Exactly.
So-
Their recolonization, you know, they need to know their
yeah.
history. They need to know who they were. Go back to your roots, because this recolonization of the Middle East is not working. It's a disaster.
Yes, it is. And Nahren, I'd like to thank you very much. Hopefully we'll have another interview after you come back from Washington. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. It's an honor.
Thank you. خزيانة مغبة بتايخ الختام الدها خرزة بخير دالة بتاوخ موخون خرزة خينة بوشون بشلامة.